Everybody, welcome back to the SuperClash SpookyCast. This is Ep.2. I'm joined by my co-hosts, Connor and David. Say hello, guys.
Hey.
Hi.
All right. Today we're going to be reviewing Hereditary. So this movie, it's very. It kind of comes out of fucking left field. It
The
starts
parking lot
off
of left field.
Yeah, it starts off really slow. You kind of get a base introduction to the characters. Basically, it starts off with the family going to the funeral of their grandmother, who I guess is very secretive and controlling, and basically, it turns out that she's like a fucking Satanist. And she's like the queen of this fucking cult.
Oh, by the way,
A
spoilers.
whole lot of shit go. Spoilers, like always. And a whole lot of shit starts to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how you guys felt about the scene when the little girl's having that. She's going into like anaphylactic shock, and she fucking sticks her head out the window and gets decapitated. But I had to fucking pause the movie at that point and be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, my mouth was open for a solid 10 minutes after that, and trying to figure out like why they decided to go the route that they went. Like,
Well,
you're avoiding something in the road, like roadkill or something in the road, and there happens to be a pole, the only pole on the entire road you hit.
well, this is the thing. Like, if you pay attention close enough, on that pole, there's that symbol that the cult fucking like wears
Oh.
on a necklace.
Okay.
So my thought is that was the only or like the fastest route to the hospital, and the cult knew that, and they placed the carcass there so that they would have to swerve and she would get decapitated.
That's a whole lot of hoping for
Right.
coincidental things.
Right.
Like,
I
here, she's gonna
agree,
eat a
but
thing with nuts. She's gonna go into anaphylactic shock. He's gonna take this route. He's gonna swerve into this thing. Like, she's gonna stick her head out the window.
you got to think, like, they've been planning this for like ever. The grandmother wanted to do it with her son, the mom lady's brother. I forget what her name is. But he ends up killing himself, right? Like, they explain that during the beginning of the movie. And so then when she has the son, I don't remember the names of any of the characters except for fucking Charlie.
Yeah. You remember the weird one? That's
Yeah, right. The one you're supposed to remember.
Yeah, the one you're supposed
But
to
anyway,
remember.
like when she has her son, like, she keeps him away from the grandmother.
The kid was Peter, the dad was Steve.
Okay,
And the
yeah.
mom
So
was Amy.
she keeps Peter away from the grandmother. And then when she has Charlie, she lets the grandmother back into her life, and she starts controlling everything again, and like wants to like breastfeed Charlie and like do all this. So they've been planning to like take over, or like, summon the fucking payment like demon dude or whatever for like a long time. So the fact that, like, some would say it's like a bunch of coincidences, like hoping that things would happen, but I believe that, like, if they have the power to do what they've done, like, they could definitely set up her getting decapitated by that telephone pole or whatever.
I would have to say that part would be, if that's the case, a hell of a coincidence.
Well, yeah. But for like the story's sake, like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
What were your guys' thoughts on the movie?
Connor, you want to go
David,
first?
go ahead. Okay, I'll go first,
okay.
I guess. So I thought the mom's, I guess, coping mechanism, like with how she handled her daughter's death, was kind of strange. She was making those little
Like the
miniatures.
dioramas and stuff.
Yeah, the little miniature dioramas, and she like went through the effort to like create a diorama of her decapitated daughter, which is a little effed up.
Right, right.
And she became very obsessive about it, which we've seen before in movies and things like that. Stranger Things, though it's a TV show, is a good example of like the mom is becoming obsessive about her child's death, or presumed death in the case of Stranger Things, and she seems crazy to everybody else, but she's actually on to something. And so we've seen that before, so I felt like it was kind of a bit of an overused trope.
This was just plain crazy though.
Yeah, she was losing it. And
Well, she had I believe she had like some sort of mental illness. Oh yeah, the sleepwalking thing. That was she had a problem with that, which like that sets up like the like tension between the family, like because she sleepwalks and like covers her kids in paint thinner and like tries to set them on fire, and Peter wakes up and like starts screaming. So like that kind of sets up the tension between them. And there's this one scene that kind of hit a little close to home for me when they start like arguing at the dinner table. She just like fucking goes off. Yeah, but you know,
I mean, I've had arguments
that's
at the dinner
a bit
table
excessive.
Before too. Yeah.
But yeah, so like that's a real shitty dynamic for their family, but that's like just the way that they are.
And the dad didn't seem super beat up about losing his daughter.
Like he was, but like he was also you got to think about it from his standpoint. Like everybody else is spiraling out of control, so he has to have like be some sense of normalcy, not only for the family but for the story's sake. You know.
I don't know. Like my opinion,
like he's got to be the one who keeps it in control.
I'm actually glad we brought that up. That's actually the dad was the one. Well, of the few things that bugged me about that movie, is he seemed extremely detached from the rest of the family. Like when something happened, I'm like, damn, dude, you have any emotion you're gonna show at all? Like, I mean, your daughter just died because your son killed her, and you're just reading the paper. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, you think there would have been some sort of repercussions for the son as well.
I was waiting for that the entire
nothing happened
movie.
to him at all, it seemed like.
I was waiting for that the whole movie.
Happened off screen.
I was like, no cops,
but
nothing,
like
no punishment.
you gotta understand, like it was an accident.
It was an accident, but
like
it didn't
what
show...
what I mean, what would anybody done in that situation?
Peter,
like,
you killed your sister. Go to your room. I mean, that was literally his punishment. Go to your room, and I might burn you, or I might set you on fire later. Well,
here's the thing: is that so you drive home with the decapitated body of your little sister in the back seat of the car. There would be a little bit more investigation other than, I was driving and she stuck her head out the window and her head got knocked off. That seems so far-fetched that I feel like he'd be investigated and looked into, especially because he's almost old enough, or could be old enough, to be tried as an adult, for even involuntary manslaughter.
The lack of him being like any kind of repercussions for that happening, even from his parents. Like, I mean, they eventually brought up, you killed my daughter, but I'm over that part. It's just that you don't seem to, you're not letting me grieve the way I want to grieve, and you're not letting me handle it my way. I'm like, if I did that shit to my sister, my parents would throw me in jail. Like,
well, like, this is the thing. Like, it was an accident,
right?
And he was in shock.
But he was also
everybody handles things differently, right? But like, I mean,
that's grounds for jail right there, in my opinion.
I'm just saying, like, if you lost one fucking child, do you really want to lose the other one to jail time?
Depends how much it pissed you off to lose the other one.
Right. I mean, we could.
I can understand it being an actual accident, but he was high as shit, driving impaired.
But that's not why. But that's not why the accident happened.
It's part of the cause.
Well, his negligence to look out for his sister and let her eat the cake.
Right.
Yeah,
That was the
that was
cause.
the step one, and step two was, oh shit, what's going on with you? Well, I'm high, but I'm gonna drive you to the hospital. I'm like, oh, there's a red flag. Something's gonna happen. Boom, a headless girl.
And he decided to drive her to the hospital instead of calling an ambulance, which
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, to each his own. Like we could argue this family's fucking
morals.
dynamics all fucking goddamn night, but
Yeah, that's true.
it kind of almost seemed like, though, they never came out and explicitly said it or showed any examples of this, but I kind of got the vibe that the mom knew there was some satanic stuff going on before everything hit the fan. Like, she knew her mom was into some stuff, you know?
Explain. Like, what do you mean?
Well, when she was going through the box of things from
Oh,
her
the
mother,
fucking like spiritualism and stuff. That
Yeah.
book.
yeah, it didn't seem, her reaction to it uh didn't seem like it was something that was new to her. It would seem more like, oh, I'm putting all the pieces together now. You know what I mean? I don't
Yeah,
know.
I mean, like you got to think about because like she was there when the grandmother like did it to her son. So like before like her brother committed suicide or whatever. So like she'd seen it before. Maybe not like up close, but she like I mean, I guess she could like pick up on things as a
Yeah.
child. So yeah, I get that. Um but yeah, I like you would think that she would have known more. Even more so the fact that like she meets this family friend who holds a fucking seance.
Who comes out of left field?
Yeah, like out of fucking nowhere, she's like, oh, like I lost someone too, like with this fucking sob story or whatever, and she's actually just part of the cult, like trying to get at the family. But I lost my train of thought. I forgot what I was gonna say.
The one thing I was gonna ask while you try to reconjure that, whenever they were actually doing the seance in their house with the dad and the son, whenever the Charlie started writing the book or whatever, my disc actually froze and was skipping through the movie. What did she write? Because I didn't get to see that.
Um,
She was drawing pictures of her brother.
Okay, because the
yeah,
part that
yeah,
the
and
part
like
that the
crossing the
movie
With
eyes
his,
out.
yeah.
okay, the part that the movie that was actually like caught up and finally synced back up was when Charlie inherited her mom's body for a little bit. So
So
So I remember what I was gonna say. Like, it's always a fucking seance. Like,
yeah.
it's what always fucking starts these things off.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
somebody's
he-
fucking around.
here's a piece of information that I found a little bit weird. Was Charlie ever Charlie? Because the reason
Yeah,
I say that,
I think that she is. I think that they mentioned at one point that her being on the
The
spectrum a little bit.
no. Hear me out. Hear me out. So Charlie dies. At some point in time, it would appear that her brother Peter is possessed by her spirit because he starts doing like the
Oh
click
yeah.
thing with his mouth and
Yep.
stuff like that. Um, and goes in there to this at the very end of the movie. There's like this
Oh god,
ritual thing.
shrine
that was weird.
Yeah, and
with Charlie's decapitated head
yeah, and they put
on
the
top of the
crown
thing. Yeah,
on Peter, who is possessed by what would appear
Charlie.
to be Charlie.
It
It's
was.
Charlie.
Yeah.
It's Charlie and Payman
They're both in
because
there then.
Payman has been attached to Charlie since she was a little kid because of the grandmother.
That's what I was wondering. Was Charlie
Yeah.
always just her, or
No,
was it
like
that she was possessed the
she's
whole
always
time with
had
Peter?
like issues because of that. Is the understanding that I got from the movie.
That actually makes sense because at first I thought she might have been like autistic or special or something, but I'm wondering if
She
that's the
could be
reason.
as
I'm
well,
wondering
but
if that was the reason behind because she had already been taken over by this ancient king. And
Yeah, because like they show like when she cuts the head off that bird, like that's
oh my
symbolism.
god, that was weird.
towards payment because that's one of the things that he requires in a sacrifice is decapitation.
Hmm.
So like they're hinting at it throughout the movie.
Man, I must have been like in a daze or something, and not really paying attention when that bird smacked the window, because I did not jump at all. Like I was like, oh, a bird hit the window. I'm like, was I even paying attention when that happened, or did it just happen? So I'm still trying to figure out why that didn't make me jump. Because usually when it's like silence and then a loud noise or something, I of course jump at like sometimes the most random stuff, and I just like, oh, bird hit the window.
Yeah, it's jump scares. Like they build up the tension and then fucking release that shit.
I was just surprised I didn't react like I thought I did, or like I thought I
Yeah.
would. So
I will say, one of the fucking creepiest scenes for me was at the end when like the mom's like hanging from the goddamn ceiling and like scurrying
Yes.
about. I was like, oh, what the fuck is this?
that was
no.
that was a little off, I gotta say, because when Peter's looking around his room and she just crawls along the wall, it's almost like
Yeah, dude.
it's almost like there was no architecture to the walls, like a flat. She was like walking across a flat background, and then
Also,
and then the
it's
door
fucking
most silently in the world. I've never heard a door so silent in my life. Swings open, and I'm like,
yeah,
I'm
would
like,
think
you
you would
had to have
hear
felt the
something or
wind
get
or
that
something.
sixth sense that
Yeah.
somebody's looking at him.
Exactly.
You know?
I saw that. Granted, I was
well,
like, that was
he
creepy as
did,
shit.
which is why he turned, but then she was gone.
And then she was gone. But yeah, it looked like she wasn't climbing on the walls, but she was climbing on like some kind of black background or something. Like
She was like floating,
Yeah.
like her legs were just kind of like kicking as she was like.
Yeah,
Going
yeah, it was
across.
some really shitty special effects for sure.
I
at
Was
that
it
I
point.
would
shitty
say
special effects, or was she supposed to be like suspended by like a demon or whatever?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think I guess like
or both, or
because she's possessed at that point.
yeah.
Like for sure.
Oh yeah, she is
And I
officially
think
gone.
they're saying like the powers of the possession allow her to do these things.
Hmm.
It just seemed like it was really out of place.
Yeah.
Because usually you see like someone, because whenever she was in the living room up on the ceiling, that actually looked more natural, like she was actually up in the corner of a ceiling, whereas the scene before that, where she's running across some black background, I'm like, did they just like have you like swing from one side of a room to another and just look like you're crawling? Because it looked like it was a practical effect that was kind of thrown in there last minute.
Right.
But I mean, having the guy that directed it being his first horror movie and his first attempt, everyone's given him, 7 out of 10 stars, 8 out of 10 stars for like, oh god, this is a great new type of horror film. I'm like,
I wouldn't say it's new. It seems
it was just
like it had all the same shit that every other horror movie's had in it.
one of the major things that bugged me about it, which overall I did enjoy the movie. I did like it, but I'm still trying to figure out a lot of the shit that I saw. But one of the major things was the scene transitions outside the house. It would go from black to daylight instantly. No transition.
Yeah.
It would just like pop. I'm like,
I think that was just like his choice of like
it really threw me off guard, because usually you expect kind of like smooth scene transitions most of the time, or whenever he was like in the
I
command.
like the I don't think it took anything away from the movie. Like he
I mean,
can
no, it didn't really
as
take
a
anything away from
director,
the
like
movie. It just kind of weirded me out how fast the transitions were happening, and
yeah, I think that was just like a stylistic thing that he wanted to do.
I guess yeah.
So I will say like after she finds the body of her grandma in the attic, and then she's like, oh, like let's show the husband, and the husband's like, like you fucking did this, like you're a fucking psychopath or whatever.
Yeah, then he gets involved.
Yeah, like not only that, but when they go to fucking burn that book and she like thinks that it's gonna kill her, like I fucking knew. I was like, he's gonna fucking die. Like this is like that's how this is gonna happen.
As a side note to this, though, by the way, did you think that there's a chance that the mom did exhume her mother and put it up in the attic, or do you think that was
It's
definitely one of the cultists who did it?
I mean it's possible. I would say that it was probably the cultists,
I thought there's a
but
chance that
with
she
the
was
way
maybe
that she's
possessed
like
and did it.
sleepwalking, who's to say is Is what
Yeah.
that's the conclusion I'm gonna come to. Like she might, I don't know. It doesn't really say in the movie.
Yeah, she did blame a lot of her actions for her sleepwalking. So
Yeah,
I would not be surprised if that was like the director's intent of, a body appearing. It's all kind of connected. The mother's
And
going through this process. So
is her sleepwalking possibly just possession? Because it seems like in her sleepwalking, she does some potentially like crazy or violent things,
I don't know.
yeah,
I think that might just be a
A
hereditary trait
normal
that she picked up.
sleepwalker isn't going to douse their kids in gasoline and try to light them on fire. Like I don't think that's a thing that
right.
normally
Well,
happens.
There's also
like
different types too.
another thing that I want to bring up, like the whole reason the movie's called Hereditary.
Mental condition passed
Well,
down.
not only that, but the fact that the grandmother was the queen of this cult, right? So like it had to be her bloodline
Hmm.
in order to summon Payman. So which I'm pretty sure that's why they put that as the title of the movie. But I also believe that there is some mental illness that follows in the family. I do think that it's created from the like spiritualism and like cult stuff. But like I'm pretty sure at one point they say the grandmother has like DID or something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
I was kind of like waiting throughout the movie for them to like talk about what the trait was that was being carried on to actually
mhm.
describe the hereditariness of it. I'm like, okay,
I
this
think it's
movie's
just
called.
general mental disorders.
Yeah, I mean, you got a movie called this. Yeah, it took them a while to actually get out what was actually,
Right, yeah.
what was actually carried
But
on. So I'm like,
by the end of the movie, I forgot about. I was like, oh yeah, there's this whole fucking thing and the title of the film.
mhm.
I mean,
So
yeah, yeah. If I had to give my overall thoughts on the movie, though, um, I thought the decapitation scene kind of left me feeling a little effed up in the head afterwards.
right,
And I
for
knew it
sure.
was coming too. I had a friend actually spoil that particular scene to me
Oh
about
really?
a month ago when he saw it in
Damn.
theaters. But still, watching that scene, I was like, oh, I think it still had its intended effect.
Yeah, dude. Like that scene definitely fucked me up. I was like, shit.
I would say there were some issues with some pacing at some points of time. Like I felt like
Oh
it was a
my
little bit slow at
God,
some point.
yes.
Yeah.
I love it how I looked at the
Um,
timestamp of the movie, and the first time I saw action was an hour in. I'm like, wow, what happened to that last hour?
There was a point where like I looked and there was still like an hour left of the film and I
I
was
know,
like,
right?
fuck.
I
the
thought the
And
exact same
like
thing too.
it doesn't really pick up and get like super creepy to like the last 20 minutes or
Right,
so.
the
yeah.
last 20 minutes are a lot of fun. I don't feel like the ending was very like I don't know satisfactory. It
Yeah,
was
like
all right.
That mom
the
floating to the outside house was just so weird.
the point where the mom's cutting her fucking head off with piano wire, like levitating in the air.
Oh, that was creepy.
I was like, what the fuck does this have to do with
And
like yeah,
you
like
just
it's
kept
the
hearing it,
decapitation, yeah.
and it goes
And she's
faster and
like
faster, and then you're like waiting for it to happen, and it just goes faster and faster. I'm like, God, fall off already.
she just like she's giggling the whole time and then like Peter throws himself out the fucking window and like dies from the fall. And then you hear the head fall like upstairs.
20 minutes later.
You think
Right.
so?
And
You
then the
took it as
fucking
Peter dying then, because when he
well
jumped out
he
the window, I was
definitely
like,
died
I don't think he
because
died. I think
no,
he
did
he
he
just
die,
did.
or
He
like did
did.
he just get possessed? Like I didn't
I
know.
think he just
Well,
got possessed because that was not that much of a fall, and it was into bushes. Because you don't see him like his head cracked open or anything, or any signs of obvious death. I think that his body just like did not have, either he didn't have the will anymore, or his body didn't have the will to deal with the bullshit anymore. And then so Charlie's like, oh good, a vessel that I can
Yeah, well yeah.
easily take in there. So I don't think he I personally think that he was alive, but he just got possessed right at that moment.
So you think that it's all three of them fighting for position in that body?
it's possible, or they've just
Yeah.
taken complete control over, and he's just kind of in a backseat position, watching it happen inside his own.
Yeah,
True.
I firmly
Fair
believe that
enough. Fair
that's
point.
what happened.
Okay.
Because I mean, just really quickly after you see that happening, you see him moving a little bit, and I'm trying to figure out if he dies or not. But I had in my mind convinced that he didn't die because he jumped out of an attic window. Wait, was it the attic? Yeah,
Yeah, it was the
he
attic.
jumped out of the attic window. It is quite a bit of a fall. I think most you're gonna get like a minor concussion or something, but he didn't land. He landed on bushes or grass or whatever. So yeah, in my honest opinion, I think he's still alive, but I could be wrong. Like a lot of
A
that
weird,
movie, I'm still trying to figure out. So
a weird side note that has something to do with the end. They have Charlie's decapitated head on like their little
their version of
figure
Jesus.
or whatever they built. But you would think that like the police or some sort of investigators would have went to go find the head and have an idea of where that would be.
Nope, no police involved ever.
Yeah, unless like, I mean, it doesn't say anything about it in the movie, but my assumption would be that perhaps a cultist is within the police force and would just like grab that
Hmm.
or like steal it from him. Like they could have dug it up after it was buried. Like there's so many like ways that they could have gotten the head.
Oh man, when they zoomed in on the head just laying out there like
With all
on the
the fucking ants crawling on it
I
and
was
shit.
like, oh
I
god.
was wondering if they were going to show that, and it took them a
Mhm.
while after the incident. I'm like, are they going to show it? Are they going to show like where the head was, or like it decaying or anything, or it just like
Yeah, and
the
like
thing that would
you
have
don't
ultimately
even.
freaked me out is if she would have clicked while her head was on the road.
Oh yeah, that would have been fucked up. But like you don't immediately see it after it happens.
No.
But there is a point when Peter does look in the rearview mirror after driving, or has like a flashback or something, and like you see like the body in the fucking back seat and shit.
Yeah.
So nice and there's a lot of gore to this film at times. So
And
Mom like
and the very well
stabbing
placed and the
herself.
very well placed nudity as well in the closet apparently.
dude,
Good lord.
Yeah.
That dude's smiling his face. I'm like, what the fuck are you smiling about, man?
yeah, I was like, what the fuck's with this naked dude? And then like immediately I was like, what the fuck is with
The-
these naked people?
the
Like
biggest,
why
he's got the
are all the
biggest
cultists naked?
he's got the biggest shit-eating grin on his face. I'm like, this
Well, like
is creepier than you being naked, dude.
that dude
Full
was at the
frontal nudity,
funeral.
man.
Like, do you guys remember that? Like him being at the funeral when Charlie like is looking at her dead grandmother, then like looks back, he's sitting there like smiling with that fucking same creepy ass
Oh
grin.
yeah, I do remember that. It was a
Yeah.
very it's they set the tone of the movie really quickly by giving her 90% of the screen time in 5 minutes. I'm like,
Yeah, like
I
they
wonder
they
who the
make
movie's gonna be
you
about.
think it's gonna be about her, and then they fucking kill her off like fucking 30 minutes into that
They kill
film.
her body off, but she's still very much alive. So
Well, I mean, there's a good fucking like 40-minute portion probably where like she is not in there at all.
yeah, that is true.
Like
Before
from
they
when
do
she
the
dies
cameo.
until when they fucking summon her.
Yeah.
I think that I have to agree with Connor on the pacing for this. Like a lot of it just felt like it was having trouble. I mean, I'm sure the director probably intended it to be like slow pace and then boom, here it is. But in my mind, I'm
Right.
like, is this movie almost over yet? And then I look, it's an hour left. I'm like,
I mean, what's
happened in this last hour?
the runtime on that film? Like 2 hours or something?
2
It
hours and
seemed
7
pretty
minutes.
long.
Yeah, like I feel like there are some times like he probably could have shaved like 20 minutes to half an hour off of it, and it would have still been a pretty decent film.
Yeah, you could have made that an hour and a half,
So
maybe a little bit over an hour. Because I mean, most of the typical horror movies these days are an hour and a half long, give or
right.
take, and they're usually done pretty well. But I can understand he wanted to explain more of what was going on. Ish.
Do you know who she was building those miniature little dioramas for?
Yeah, they
They're for herself. Like that was her way of coping.
some
Well, I
of
mean,
them.
it seemed like they were for like an exhibit, but then
Yeah.
like they look like they were like
Well,
personal events that happened in her life.
like she was contracted out to do like some event gallery for this company, and she was working on that, but she was getting behind because she was spending time making dioramas about her personal life, which is why the husband kept saying like ask for an extension, because like that was her way that she was dealing with her grief, and it was like getting in the way of her work.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and also that also redundancy there, but that reinforces my theory that she was aware of like the cultist stuff, because in some of her dioramas there was like little cultist symbols on some of the stuff, like on the walls
Little
or
drawings.
things.
Oh, the like
Yes.
Satany and like whatever
Mhm.
that was on
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes me think even more that she was kind of aware of some stuff going on
Yeah, I mean, sure.
beforehand.
I don't think she
Good.
knew to the extent, but I'm sure that she did know that
Yeah, maybe she
some
thought it
stuff
was
was going on.
harmless, like, oh, my mom was part of a cult, she was a weirdo, that kind
Right.
of shit.
Typical stuff,
How moms are.
Sounds about right.
But
Yeah. So if you guys had to give this movie a score out of 5,
out of
what would it
5.
be? Connor says you give it a 5?
No, I said out of
You're
5.
saying,
Like,
yeah, I'm saying out of 5. Like if you
okay.
He's
had
like 6 out of 5, crushed it. I'm like, oh, okay.
3.5.
3.5, David?
I would say just because a lot of stuff is still really iffy on like understanding what was going on. I'd say, and the direction was a little interesting. I'd like to see what he comes up with next. I'd say a 3.
3. I'd give it a 3.5, mainly because of the pacing of the film. I think it really just kind of became a hindrance in the end. Like certain things just took too long. I think they could have sped it up for sure. But overall, I think it was a good film. I would recommend people to watch it at least once.
Yeah, I
It's
don't know
not
how
like
much impact that's gonna have on a second watch. I don't know, but
yeah, like it's not a movie that's like gonna terrify you, but it's you're gonna walk away feeling a little uncomfortable for sure.
I don't know. So some
yeah.
people kind of called it
So
the modern day Ring, and I didn't see it at all.
No, definitely not like
yeah,
The Ring.
no,
Not at all. Like I was kind of hoping that it would like give me those creeps and those chills and scare the shit out of me. I was waiting for it for most of the movie. It never happened. I'm like, yeah, no, this. I don't know who said this would be a modern day Ring. I guess maybe some reviewer or media outlet or whatever. But I was like,
I would almost barely call it a horror movie because
it was more of a
yeah, it was
thriller.
more like a suspense thriller than
there's
anything.
only like maybe in total like 20 minutes worth of actual horror stuff in it.
Yeah,
The
Yeah.
rest of it's just kind of
Well, it
weird.
looks like they classified it as drama, horror, and mystery.
I think it's probably more like
yeah,
psychological
Mind fuck.
thriller kind of thing. Yeah.
probably, yeah.
I can definitely see the mystery behind it because it's kind of something you have to solve in your head while you're going through it. Because to me, it was a little bit too broken up.
One
Yeah.
thing I will say to the movie's advantage, is that I feel like it had a lot of room for interpretation in it.
Oh yeah.
Obviously by our responses here, just within our little group, there was several different ways to interpret different scenes, different characters, and stuff like that. And that's at least one thing that's pretty positive about it.
You're pretty positive.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
God damn it. All right. Well, I think that about wraps it up for this spooky cast.
All right.
The next one that we do, I think we're probably gonna do Hellfest. I know that's out right now, so I say we probably go watch that, and then we'll have one out in probably the next 2 weeks or so.
I think we should, for our premiere cast, which is our other podcast, I think we should do Mandy.
Mandy, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we can do that. We'll have that hopefully out sometime next weekend or so.
A week following whenever this one comes out or whatever.
But until next time, guys.